Hi, I'm Ty Walker with Artistic Recovery. Today I will be interviewing Christine Michiaels regarding the topic of fentanyl and the dangers in it. Christine is the Director of Peer Services at 320 Recovery. Christine, you have how many years of experience, personal and professional? Recovery?
Just over 5 professional and just over 8 personal.
Gotcha. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about fentanyl. Christine, can you tell us what fentanyl is and why it's so dangerous?
Yeah, I feel like at this point most people are pretty familiar with, what fentanyl in general. Just hearing about it in the news, the opioid epidemic. We've had so many drug overdoses, and a lot of them have been credited to the mixture with the fentanyl. Mm-hmm. So what it is, it's a synthetic drug. They produce it medicinally and illegally. So what it is a depressant. So it actually dulls down your senses. So if you're somebody that struggles with high rates of pain, high anxiety, things of that nature, that's something that you would get a prescription for fentanyl for, under a physician's care. But then the flip side of that, like I said, it is produced illegally as well. It's 50 times more potent than heroin, and it's 100 times more potent than morphine. So the danger is there, almost immediately.
Yeah.
At this point, it can be packaged as something that you wouldn't think is harmful. It's always a good rule of thumb that if you're getting any kind of drug in general, that it should be from, a pharmacy, from your doctor directly. Mm-hmm. But, in this world, we know that that's not always the reality of it.
How can you make sure to avoid it?
So authorities will tell you that the easiest way to identify it is through the color. If you're doing illegal drugs, typically the heroin color is more of a yellow, and so the fentanyl is more of a white.
Gotcha.
I will say there's going to be many times where you can't visibly notice the difference, mm-hmm. And that's, it's one of those things where it gets scary, So one of the biggest things that we can encourage people to do if they are using any type of drug, and any type of drug that's not directly from a pharmacy, then to use the fentanyl testing strips just as a form of harm reduction. Keep yourself safe and, just try and cover those bases.
Gotcha. So when you talk about the fentanyl testing strips, you have one right there with you?
I do.
Showing us how to use it.
Yeah.
Where do we get those?
So with these strips, essentially what they do is you can take a small amount of the drug that's going to be used, and depending on what the substance is, there's different directions for each, and it comes with directions. But you would test that, and it would indicate whether there was any fentanyl in it or not. So it's 1 line for negative, 2 lines for positive.
Gotcha.
And so I will say a couple things on that, though. It is not 100% accurate. You can get false positives. It's not 100% accurate, but at this point it's something, which is better than nothing. Mm-hmm. So if we want to encourage people to be safe, or, to help them to get far enough and stay alive long enough to get the treatment or the help they need, it is a tool. And also with these, it is legal in some states. There's still quite a few states that it is illegal, though, so it's considered drug paraphernalia. I can say where we're at currently in Indiana, it is illegal in this state, but it is also kind of dependent on the arresting officer.
Gotcha.
There's some counties that are more lenient with it because they understand that it's not a drug, that it's not encouraging more use, that it is a harm reduction technique. They just have the education about it, and then there's other counties that think that it's completely enabling, and so it is good to let people know on the front end Of course, we don't want anybody to get in trouble, but knowing more is much better.
Yeah. And so where do we find these? Where can we acquire them?
So there is not, and because of the legalities of it, there's not a national locator. There is a website, harmreduction.org, and within that it has a naloxone or Narcan. It's a more common name for it. They have a locator on there that shows in all the states where you can find this. So usually if you can find the Narcan locations, they're going to be able to direct you and help you get the fentanyl testing strips as well. Local harm reduction agencies, recovery communities, things of that nature, usually good bridges to finding.
So tell me, what do you do in the event of an overdose with fentanyl?
So if somebody is overdosing on any type of opiate, but fentanyl in particular, Narcan is a great tool to have around. It's a nasal spray most commonly. They have different methods of Narcan, but the nasal is the most common. And actually, you can learn more about that in the link below. But to just really encourage people to, if you are actively using, if you're unsure, to not only test your drugs if you have the ability to, but to carry Narcan. So in the event you have kind of that plan B.
Tell us about how, what can we as community do to raise awareness and to combat just the overall fentanyl problem.
Right. I think number one, the whole education is power. The more that we talk about it, the more people know about it, the safer they can be. Aside from that, really just as a community trying to break that stigma so that we can have those conversations and, people feel safe asking for help or seeking treatment. So if you or someone that struggles with substances, there is help available. You can call the national helpline at 1-800-662-HELP, which is 4357. They have treatment locators, recovery, pretty much anything that you can need to, start the process. So. And just again, to close, with the alarming spike in all the fentanyl overdoses, be aware, test your drugs, even if it's packaged as a medicinal pill, the risk is still there. And especially in times like this where, people are vulnerable and they're isolated, we just want to make sure that people are as safe as they can be.